Good afternoon. I see we have someone that has logged in. We are going to start right at 1 o'clock. So thank you for joining us. And we're hopeful to begin here right at 1 o'clock. Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. It is just about 1 o'clock. I do see people logging in, so I'm going to give it 30 seconds to up to a minute just in case anyone's having difficulty. But thank you for joining us, and we'll begin shortly. Okay, it is a little after 1 o'clock. I appreciate everyone taking the time to join us this afternoon. First of all, my name is Dr. David Eschelman. I'm the Director for Workforce Development and Initiatives in the Office of Career, Technical, and Adult Education. And joining me as a panelist today is George Wilcox. I'll allow him to introduce himself and then we'll get started.
Good afternoon. George Wilcox, Director of Operations and Accountability in the Office of Career, Technical, and Adult Education. And congratulations to everyone on being selected for one of these special grants.
Thank you, George. We are pleased, to say the least, to be able to move this initiative forward. This has been a long time in the works, and we're very thankful for the resources that we've received to be able to do this. And we're thankful for each of you bringing your teams together in really a relatively short period of time to put your plan together. And we realize many of you have had some of these partnerships already established, and this is a vehicle to actually help move some of the work that you have been planning. So thank you on behalf of our entire team at the State Department for going the extra mile and looking to find unique ways to meet the needs of students. And this definitely is a great opportunity. As we're moving forward, I am going to share my screen with you. And before I run down this list, just some of the protocol here. This session is being recorded, and we will post this recorded session on our website, along with the resource that I will share with you today on the webinar. That will also be posted, but we will also send that to the lead participant that's leading the school division for each of these grants. You will receive the performance reporting information that we're going to share with you today. So from this list, we wanted you to be able to see who your partners are, not only within your own communities, but from around the Commonwealth. This is a listing of the grants that have been approved. And there are 4 that are individual school divisions with their existing and developing partners. And there are 3 grants that are regional, where those partnerships will be collaborating together and students will be benefiting from the experiences that are developed. So from this list here, you can see we have Alexandria City. I'll just scroll down so that you can see who these partners are. Buchanan County Public Schools, Radford City Public Schools, Stafford County Public Schools. And then this is a listing of the grants awarded to partnerships in collaboration. That first one is Allegheny County Public Schools in collaboration with Covington City Public Schools, as well as Grayson County Public Schools, working together with Carroll County Public Schools and Galax City Public Schools. And the third regional program is West Point Public Schools, working with Matthews County Public Schools, Middlesex County Public Schools, and Rappahannock Community College. So we wanted to share that information with you so that you knew who you were working with. As we look at pathway development, really pathway development is nothing new. Going back to Perkins 4, well, we have been focused on communities building pathways. This is a unique pathway where it leads to an opportunity for a student not only to complete courses in a sequence leading to an ultimate career, but it provides the opportunity to meet graduation requirements, to earn up to an associate's degree. It creates the opportunity then to tie in the credentials that are earned with the work-based learning experiences. So we're really excited in this effort, and it is in an effort, in a pathway that leads to an experience for a student in up to 5 years to be able to meet all those requirements. And as you can see here today, we're going to be talking about the performance report, which goes through the life of the grant. And obviously, the ultimate goal of our graduates is going to be beyond the 2 years of this grant. So we'll talk about that in a little bit. This grant, even though it goes over 2 years, this grant reporting cycle will go through the 21-22 school year. And I put up front here 2 key dates of data that will be reported from your partnership. And that will be a mid-year report and a year-end report. And I have the dates that are listed here. This was identified in the RFP, so this is really no surprise. But today is really about just highlighting the flexibility, highlighting the requirements, highlighting the procedures and how to go about this. So what I have on the screen is a template. This will be, as I said earlier, sent to each of the leading school divisions and the lead contact. And you'll be able to utilize this for each of the reports. So you could save this as a template, use this for the December 3rd submission, and then turn around and use the same template for the June 3rd submission. And again, we'll come back next year with the reporting requirements for the second year in an additional webinar. This should be reported and submitted through the CTE mailbox, which is I have listed here, bdoe.cte@doe.virginia.gov. So you'll be able to utilize this Word document and then save this and submit it through this email. So what we start off with here is the reporting period. So you would identify your reporting period. So you could say reporting period would be December 3rd. You can have a start date of when you received your official award notification and then have that date through December 3rd. So that would be the reporting period that would go here. And then that obviously will change for the second year-end report. You would have your award amount, just for clarity. We have the grant expiration date and the source of funding. You would list your lead, school division, and the contact information. And then that lead contact for that school division would sign and date. So what we've listed here is what was in the RFP and what you were looking at as you work with your partners in the development of your proposal. And that is this listing of this ultimate goal, which is driving at partnerships and established partnerships in building out experiences leading to jobs that are identified through the labor market needs of your community or your region. And this highlights the expectation, and we listed some of the measures that were set out from the very beginning as you develop your unique proposal and where you identify your goals, which we will talk to in a little bit. But ultimately, we are developing a pathway. And the interesting part of this is many of your pathways may already exist. So this will be a new pathway that will have different courses in it, leading from a high school degree to an associate's degree. And it will end up with an assigned pathway code. So we'll talk about that when we look at reporting measures and how this will be identified and how you'll be able to connect the students with the pathway. So each student in this pathway will really have that unique assigned pathway code. Looking at this, this was the ultimate goal, and it moves us into, okay, how are you going to be measuring your success as we're moving forward? As I mentioned earlier, the ultimate goal was really up to 5 years out, having students go through the pathway, experience the pathway, the work-based learning experiences, the earned credentials. But there is data that we're going to be requiring here as we're progressing through the 2 years of the grant and as this moves forward. So the first part of this is really flexible because it gives you a lot of flexibility as to what it is that you're targeting. Each of you have identified individual goals in your proposal. So this process is really on the reporting aspect of those goals, along with some of the things that I have listed later here as far as required reporting mechanisms. But this first question in this template, all you'll do is you'll just click into the gray area, and as you type, it will continue to build out and give you space to write your response. But we started this in looking at a couple of things here, and that is the summary of your grant activity. So for each one of these reporting opportunities, this gives you an opportunity to really summarize the grant activities. And what we've seen in the past, some people will use this as sort of an ongoing database. So as the work is developing, you rather than just look at completing this report on December 3rd, you can utilize this template and build out and document the work that's being done. So everything is not, reported at the very end. You can actually utilize this for your own communication purposes. And as you're identifying, the summary of grant activities, you may have an opportunity to present to your local advisory committee or your local school boards, or any of your business partners in working with the business community. So this is really an attempt to really help you through this process and provide you a vehicle for recording information as this is being developed. I mean, ultimately down the road, we could have another school division say, wow, we see this as a best practice. And down the road, someone else may want to implement the pathway that you're uniquely creating. So, this is a vehicle. It's very flexible. It's a summary of your grant activities in this time period. As you identify the time period for this report, you'll be able to summarize those activities. And again, just a suggestion not to just leave this report for the very end. Really utilize it as a template in the guidance as you are, working throughout the life of this grant cycle. And you may have certain staff that have collaborative opportunities to participate and log information. How you do that is up to you, but there is a required submission, as you can see here, by December 3rd, by the end of the working day on December 3rd, and then the year-end report June 3rd. So this is a little bit early than the end, but we do have our own reporting back to VCCS and to the state. So we needed to set these dates so that we could meet our own state reporting purposes. So that's why you have those dates. We wanted to make sure you had those dates right now up front, so that you can build this out as you go. So the first part is the summary of the general grant activities. The next part is the updating of partnership activities. So as your partnerships continue to evolve and the work that's associated with making sure students are aware of this program, making sure, that there's opportunities for businesses to possibly work with other businesses with similar workforce needs, any of the activities associated with partners. This is an opportunity to provide an update of activities specifically targeted to the partnership activities. The next section is on updated leveraged resources. So this provides you that opportunity to keep sort of an ongoing database of resources. And we know that resources down the road, you may not even be thinking about right now, but as this work evolves, some of these things continue to expand as far as ideas, and they take on different directions where you may not originally have been thinking in your brainstorming. You have that opportunity here to really look at the resources that you are leveraging and how the community is wrapping themselves around this experience. The next section is on the progress on performance measures and other successes. So looking at your performance measures, you may be looking specifically at what it is that you're doing in the promotion of this program. And then you're looking at, students that are identified and what are we doing maybe in the summer session leading into the next year in preparation for student success. So this section just provides really an open-ended area for other successes. We're going to talk specifically in the next part about performance measures, but this leaves this open to unique performance measures that you may individually come up with based on the pathway that you're developing and the experiences that you're providing students. So those performance measures and other successes, again, this is very wide open and flexible based on the uniqueness of your pathway. And then we are interested in challenges as you're progressing through the development of your pathway. It is good for us to know what your challenges are, and we may see that another another partnership is experiencing a similar challenge, and then what we may do is work through that together, and maybe, bring a meeting together for both of those partnerships to share some of those challenges and maybe identify some of the strategies. And then it gives us the opportunity, again, we're only working with 7 different grants here. That may be something that we can share with the others to see if they're experiencing something like that. So a lot of this is really for communication, and it's for building collaboration as we're progressing through this together. Okay. That's the opening section, and the next section is really that targeted data that we do need to see for the mid-year report. So again, this information is that December 3rd deadline, but again, this is going to be information as you're progressing. And the first response is really focused, and it's going to be unique to the unique goals that each of you have identified in your proposal and in your approved grant. So this will be an ongoing database update, if you will, related to the goals uniquely that each of you have identified. And that ranges from a lot of different things, from, setting up an advisory, reporting and engaging the business community that way. It just, you're going to take this individually to your own developed proposal and the unique goals that were identified. We left that very wide open to provide a lot of flexibility as to, what each grant recipients and teams would want to do to reach the goals that they've identified. So this is a reporting mechanism that we're providing for each of your goals. So most of you have provided multiple goals, 3 to 5, so you can have a response for each goal as you're progressing. And again, this can be utilized as you're providing an update, as I mentioned, to your advisory or your community, or working with potential recruitment programs where you're sharing what this program is with families in your communities. You can utilize this as you're reporting to your school board. Again, for this to be sort of an ongoing response. All right, so the first piece of this for the mid-year report is really targeted around the unique goals that you have identified in your grant proposal. The second part is a detailed description related to how sustained partnerships are and will be measured. So we're providing a lot of flexibility. We didn't outright say this is what you need to do. You're utilizing this opportunity to expand on some of the things that possibly your community has been doing, and now you're looking at ways to expand the sustained aspect of partnerships. We know that's an important component. It's in the definition in Perkins 5. The importance of sustained partnerships. None of this exists. None of this even happens without partnerships. We know that. So we're really interested in identifying, what our grant recipients are doing to build and sustain their partnerships. And it could even extend to activities that have led to new things beyond this pathway and this grant. So just a lot of opportunity for us to be identifying best practices. So this is an ongoing section here focusing on what you and your partners are doing to sustain that partnership. And that's an important piece. It's one thing about setting up a partnership, and then we know the work that's involved. And that's why we think it's really important for us to look at where we are seeing success. And this goal that you have, providing this pathway for students leading up to an associate's degree in up to 5 years, that does not happen without clear, focused collaboration. And so this section is completely focused to what it is that you're doing in building that sustained partnership. Again, there should not be any surprise here. This is clearly coming out of the request for proposals and really the work that you have identified in your proposal. The next section is on the career pathway itself. And what we want to see by December 3rd is what your partnership is looking at. Some are ready to roll and are looking to move forward right now in the fall, or some are pushing this back and they're utilizing this time to build the pathway. What we want to be able to see are the courses and the pathway itself, and that will be submitted in this report, just like we have with our Perkins application, local application submission. This will be a unique pathway. Looking at STEM engineering, for example. You may already have a STEM engineering pathway that's been approved because you submitted it with your local application for Perkins. This pathway will be unique and will ultimately have its own unique pathway code, which then we can work backwards and look at the demographics and the identification of students that are actually in the program. Each of those students will have this unique pathway code. Okay, so that is the component related to the pathway that will need to be submitted with this report by December 3rd. The next section is, students and, what is being done in the promotion of this program and opportunity. So this is an open-ended area here where you can continue to build out your promotion of this opportunity and what you're seeing has been successful. Maybe there's specific targeted events that you're going to be building out. This is the reporting aspect. So this could be either what's been done, or it could be an opportunity for an update here as to what you're planning and what those events particularly are moving forward with relation to the promotion of this program and opportunity. So pretty clear cut. I don't want to go into too much detail. I mean, this is really an important component, because you can build something out, but you have to be able to sell it so that people understand the benefits. So this is an important piece, and quite frankly, I think all of us probably have learned from building out other experiences that are new, developing new courses, for example, or revising a course. We know how important it is to be consistent and continuous in relation to program promotion. So we're really interested in specifically what you're doing related, to this targeted new pathway. The next question is how are business partners involved and engaged throughout the program development? So we're looking for you to be able to report what you're doing with your partners, how they're involved and how they're engaged with you throughout the program development. We know in looking at curriculum revisions at the State Department, that does not happen obviously without teachers, but it doesn't happen as well without business partners. So program development is really, I see, no different than looking at a curriculum revision. It's important to engage everyone in the process to make sure that the curriculum is really aligned to the workforce needs. So this is a targeted section specifically laid out for businesses to be able to identify for us what it is that you're doing in the involvement and the engagement component. Okay, that takes us through the mid-year report. And also in here, obviously, the rest of this would not be completed for December 3rd, but it's the template that you would use from December 3rd moving forward to June 3rd. This would be the continuation of the reporting cycle. So you'll be able to build on this. So what will happen In the second part of the year, you'll be able to expand on the first part that I just talked about at the end of the year, but then also this additional data in the last part of this template will be required for June the 3rd. All right, so I just want to repeat that to make sure we're on the same page. This template is a combined template for the entire reporting period for 21-22. The first part that I just talked about is due by December 3rd. The second part you would not complete. For the second part, for the end of the year report, you're going to complete the second part of this, but it'll also give you the opportunity to update the first part and the first components of the first part of this template. Okay, so this next part looks at additional reporting requirements for the end of the year report. And this is the disaggregated student demographic data, which really we will be able to pull based on just your normal reporting, just like you normally do. But each of these students will have that unique pathway code that we will need to create. And we will create one for each of the unique pathways. If some of the grants have similar pathways, but there'll be unique courses, well, that will be reported as it normally is through the local school division. So working backwards, we'll be able to see that. But we will be developing the unique pathway codes. Okay. So this information will occur as our normal reporting process moves forward. What you'll want to talk about here is the work that's associated with making sure that each of the students in this program, as they progress through that program, have that unique pathway code that will be for each student. The second part is the percentage of students who meet free and reduced price meals, income criteria. So that will be specific data that you'll need to identify. Once you have the students tagged that way, you'll be able to list them here. The same thing by the unique career pathway. There's, for example, one of the reports is on the energy cluster, and they're looking at multiple career pathways within the energy cluster. So that's where this would identify which students were connected with which pathway. So that would be for that section. And the number of industry, the next section, number of industry partners associated with each career pathway. So you'll actually identify and connect with each of your partners and which pathway they are working with. Some of them, if you have multiple pathways, are working with all of the pathways. But we are looking for industry partners associated with each of the pathways. Student academic and technical performance data. Here you will identify the CTE, the students within the CTE elective courses where the students have exceeded the 80% student competency attainment. And number 6, the number of students and the percentage of students earning a credential. And as you know, that can be throughout this cycle where we have students earning multiple credentials. And, so you'll have that opportunity to be able to build that out, students individually with a credential or as they're stacking credentials throughout the pathway. You'll be able to report on that. The student growth measurements before and after participation in summer sessions. So individually, what it is that you're doing to prepare students for that dual enrolled college coursework is going to be an important component. And looking at what you identify uniquely as your data for measuring that growth before and after participation in those summer sessions. So we have that listed, as well as an analysis of attrition rate for each cohort of students on track to complete the requirements. So as we're progressing through from one semester to the next, this will really be important moving from this year to next year to see the level of progression and the consistency of students maintaining and being part of this cohort. You may have a student that transfers or leaves, and that would be identified through this process as well. There is an annual follow-up survey, so you will need to build out a follow-up survey of each of the participants, in year one. So before the end of year one, you're going to be looking at having them complete a follow-up survey, looking at the data that you want to measure. So you would begin here to identify what that data is and what the results were. So looking at this would be something that would be due each year. So not only by the end of the year for this year, but you would have another follow-up. And again, it's an opportunity for you to receive data and feedback from students that are in the program, particularly through year one. And as you're looking at building out experiences for year two, it will be very useful feedback as you're moving forward. Work-based learning, as we know, is important. So we are looking for here the number of students who have completed any of the state board approved forms of work-based learning. So that takes us through the required data components. There may be additional components that are unique to your pathway. You may definitely include them at the end and throughout this. As you know, as I mentioned earlier, your unique goals will do just that. And we would imagine to see your updates related to your progress in the development of the goals that you've identified, that uniqueness there. So we know that there's going to be additional things that each of you have identified that you also want to track and be able to promote. So this data will be helpful for us as we're supporting each of the grants and the participants that are there, that are part of this process. We really appreciate the hard work that has gone into the development of your proposals, and we know that a lot of that work has been ongoing, and you may just have been stalled, or maybe just didn't have the resources to actually move this in the direction that you've wanted to, and now you do. We're really excited as we've reviewed each of the applications. We have some commonalities, we have some uniqueness. So we're really looking to support you as we do with anything else. Questions that you may have can come at any time. And as we see the need to be able to bring you together for meetings as we continue to move forward. So basically, if someone identifies something that we think would benefit the other groups, we will definitely be collaborating and sharing any of the supporting guidance that we provide. A unique grant, we'll be able to share that with each of you as this progresses. Again, giving us a lot of flexibility with this being 7 different grants. 3 are regional, 4 are unique communities. It gives us a lot of flexibility to be able to collaborate. So we will definitely be doing that as this progresses. I do want to share our website just to give you this piece of information. So since the first webinar, we've added this on the CTE website. So there is a place under professional development for the CTE High School Innovation Grant. We have the superintendent's memo, the request for proposals, the last video that was recorded. And at the end of that, you may or may not have been aware, there were frequently asked questions that were identified, and I answered all of those questions from the last webinar, and we've posted that here. If you're familiar with our website, you know that we have a program administration and management page. I'm just going to click on that, and where it goes to reimbursements, requests for reimbursements, we will be adding the form that you already have that came forward with your official award notification, but we will also link that reimbursement form right here on this page where we do every other grant opportunity that we have for school divisions. I know George Wilcox shared that with me, and we wanted to make sure that you were aware of that. So all that was on our CTE website, and on our website we have the link here under administrative support, program administration, and that's where we have all of our reimbursement forms. But if you scroll down a little bit, that professional development link, that's where I have this update. I will update this as well and take today's recording, and we'll post that here so we keep all of the professional development associated with this grant together right here on this page. Mr. Wilcox, is there anything to add?
Yes, we would like to review the reimbursement process. The grant funding began on July 1, 2021, and your reimbursements for activity associated with the grant should start at that time. We are asking that there be regular reimbursement request submissions. So by September, certainly there would be an expectation that your initial reimbursements would begin to come in. We really want to avoid end of grant lump sum reimbursements. In our work with other agencies, it's really important that these funds be expended and reimbursed according to the services identified in the grants, but also in a timely manner. If there are any questions pertaining to reimbursement, please contact me. We will be in contact with you should we not begin to see reimbursement requests by September. Thank you.
Thank you. Again, just to highlight, as questions arise, please direct any question to me as you're working with your partners. You know, as you're brainstorming, as you're developing things, questions will come up. Please do not hesitate to reach out to our office. You may contact me directly. You have my contact information. I will be following up. This recorded session will be posted as soon as we can process it. And the attachment that I shared with you for the reporting, performance reporting component, I will share that with each of our lead contacts by the end of the day today. So the information that we reviewed today, the lead contact for each of the school divisions will have that information by the end of the day today. So with nothing else said, we will stop our recording here. And again, any questions, maybe even after your team has had time to review this and to think about it and process, please do not hesitate to let us know if there are any additional questions. This is a collaborative process from beginning to end, and we are excited to see these opportunities. I can tell you from the State Superintendent of Public Instruction, Dr. James Lane, is very excited, as well as Michael Bowling, our Assistant Superintendent that we work with on a daily basis. This is tremendous work. We know the benefits are just going to be unbelievable for the communities. So we're very excited to see this progress. And quite frankly, I'm hopeful that we'll see the success down the road at year 5. And, you know, we'll have other school divisions want to look at doing what it is that you're doing. I will end with this. If you are interested, you definitely may want to take a close look at what Hampton has done. They have been focused on this for a while. In fact, this past year, they've had their first graduates that have gone through their pathways leading to an associate's degree. So that community, that city, the partnerships that have evolved over time, they have done this, and you may be able to benefit from their experience. Seth Black would be the point of contact for Hampton, and I'm sure he can connect you with any of the schools in their pathways that they've been working on. And in Virginia, we know that this has been done before, and they've been very successful. So definitely worth taking a look at and reaching out to them as you're progressing. So again, thank you for your time today, and we look forward to what lies ahead in support of you and your goals. Thank you.